We've got to talk about the Trump administration taking steps to end all federal contracts with Harvard, because that's what was outlined in a letter from the General Services Administration, with then sources also telling the New York Times that the directive was delivered to federal agencies this morning. And specifically, the letter instructs all federal agencies to review all their contracts with Harvard in order to terminate them or reallocate them to other entities. And even that is in addition to them encouraging agencies to seek alternative vendors for future services where you had previously considered Harvard. And as for the reasoning here, you had the GSA claiming that Harvard, quote, continues to engage in race discrimination, including in its admissions process and in other areas of student life, in claiming that the university, quote, has shown no indication of reforming their admissions process following the 2023 Supreme Court decision that overturned affirmative action and prevented schools from using race as a factor in admissions. So very notably, the letter provided no statistical evidence for that claim, and it only cited the fact that Harvard now offers what it described as a remedial math course, which the administration says is proof that the school is employing discriminatory factors instead of merit in admission decisions. Right, and that seemingly in reference to the fact that Harvard recently started offering a new introductory math course that aims to cover pandemic-related learning gaps. But then also, beyond that, you had the GSA alleging that troubling revelations have come to light regarding Harvard and its affiliates' potential discriminatory hiring practices and possible violations of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, claiming that the university is suspected of engaging in a pattern or practice of disparate treatment in hiring, promotion, compensation, and other personnel-related actions. And then saying that the Harvard Law Review has engaged in what it called pervasive and explicit racial discrimination in the publication's article selection and editor appointment process. Though again, it's important to note here that those accusations appear to be in reference to two separate investigations that the Trump administration has launched against Harvard that are still ongoing. Right, and then in addition to that, finally, you had the GSA claiming that it had become aware of, quote, recent events at Harvard University involving anti-Semitic action that suggests the institution has a disturbing lack of concern for the safety and well-being of Jewish students, with him specifically noting there that a pro-Palestine protester who was accused of assaulting a Jewish student had been given a $65,000 fellowship by the Harvard Law Review. And that, as a second demonstrator who faced similar charges, was chosen by the Harvard Divinity School to be the class marshal. Though then, also significantly here, it's been reported that a judge dismissed those charges against both of the students and instead ordered them to attend anger management courses and perform community service. And then with all that, as far as the practical impact that this could have on Harvard, you had Trump administration officials telling numerous outlets that the review will include around 30 contracts worth around $100 million. Though that, as contracts with Harvard-affiliated hospitals will not be included. Right, but as far as Harvard, this comes as part of Trump's broader crackdown on the university, which has become kind of the primary target in its war on universities. Right, because this isn't coming out of nowhere. We've talked about it before. The administration has frozen a total of around $3.2 billion in grants and contracts with Harvard, which in turn has filed a series of lawsuits against them. You also had last week the Department of Homeland Security revoking Harvard's ability to enroll international students who make up nearly a third of the school's student body. Though that move was quickly challenged by Harvard and temporarily blocked by a judge. But then, just yesterday, you had Trump making a Memorial Day post on Truth Social where he wrote, I am considering taking $3 billion of grant money away from a very anti-Semitic Harvard and giving it to trade schools all across our land. Though there, I'll say it's unclear if he's talking about pulling an additional $3 billion or redistributing the $3 billion he's already pulled. And depending on where else you go for your news, it's been described as both very confidently. So, we'll see. Now, with all that said, as far as how Harvard has responded to this latest thing, as of recording, they have not made a public comment. But I will say in an interview aired this morning with NPR, you had Harvard President Alan Garber reiterating many of his past comments about the ongoing battle, especially as it pertains to allegations of anti-Semitism. Or with Garber, who notably is Jewish, once again acknowledging that the school has problems that it needs to address, but arguing that he doesn't understand how the Trump administration's actions are actually going to combat anti-Semitism.
What is perplexing is the measures that they have taken to address these that don't even hit the same people that they believe are causing the problems. Why cut off research funding? Sure, it hurts Harvard, but it hurts the country because after all, the research funding is not a gift. It is work that they want done. They are paying to have that work conducted. Shutting off that work does not help the country, even as it punishes Harvard. And it is hard to see the link between that and, say, anti-Semitism.
But ultimately, that's where we are right now on just Trump's continued war on Harvard.